right, everybody, we are back with another Ramp Careers Daily Update. Today, I am here with Manoj. Manoj, it looks like you've upgraded your headset. Time
I
to
have.
time to become official. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I upgraded my headset. I also have this little podcast mic that I can use too. Yeah, it's good. I'm liking the new setup. It gives you a new boost of confidence, even though nothing's really changed.
I was going to say your voice sounds silky smooth. I'm going to be joining you in the coming days with the new headsets and a mic as well. But for now, you're leveled up your performance.
Let's do it. I can't wait to jump into the topic for today, which is common mistakes that we've seen early career SDRs and BDRs do during interviews, during the recruiting process, once they get through that phone screen with HR, if that's applicable, and they get into a room with a hiring manager. I'll start with you, Danny, because I think you've interviewed way more people than I have for SDRs and BDRs. What are two things that you've seen people kind of falter with?
Yeah, so it's a great topic. Yeah, I've given thousands at this point of SDR interviews, which is crazy to say out loud. Thousands of sales of SDR interviews. So the two common mistakes I see. One, applicants or interviewees do not come prepared with questions for the end of the interview. Can't tell you how many times I've gotten to the end of the interview and I ask the question, hey, do you have any questions for me? And I get somebody who says, nope, no questions at all. To me, that sounds like you are just fundamentally not interested in the role at all. That is a big fail. If you are prepared, if you are interested in the actual position, you will come with multiple questions, so many that you may not actually get to the end of them. Those questions can be in a variety of avenues. One could be personal, questions about the interviewer. You've done your research, you've looked up that person. Are they featured in any blogs? What's their background? Can you find any commonalities? Their career path? Questions like, how did you get to where you are today? Talk to me about your career path. Why did you make the decision you made coming out of college? Those are great questions to ask. And two, you could ask questions about the company straight up. Why do you love being at the company? Tell me about a day in the life of working here. Tell me about some of the pushbacks you hear from prospects. There's so many avenues to go. You need to have questions prepped at the end of the interview, and it's a big miss when folks don't. Another mistake I see quite often is SDR applicants will come in with no reason why they want to be in sales. So I'll ask the question, hey, so why do you want to be in sales? And they'll say something like, well, I really wanted to get into a high growth startup, or I really want to be in fintech, or I really want to be in healthcare tech. And I thought that sales was a great way to kind of break into healthcare tech or to break into this organization. To me, that's a poor answer. When you're interviewing for a sales job or a sales role or sales career at any level, the interviewer wants to know that you want to be in sales. It's a tough job. You're going to get rejected so many times, day in and day out. You're going to be hustling on prospecting, potentially making a bunch of cold calls. You need to know that this is the career path for you. So to flip that, one, decide first of all, if you want to be in sales. If you don't interview for a sales job. Two, if you do want to be in sales, you could come up with a reason. It has to be true to yourself, but there's a variety of reasons that I think are great. One, it's competitive. It aligns with your personality. You want a long career in sales. Your parents are salespeople. You've watched others go through the sales career. It sounds exciting. It feels exciting. You're driven by commission. You're driven by money. Any of those are better than, hey, I just want to break into the company. Manoj, obviously you've interviewed salespeople as well. What are some of the mistakes that you hear and how do you rectify those?
Yeah, two things, and I think this is applicable not just for sales jobs in specific, but any job in general. One of the things that I think people unfortunately run into is where they've done enough preparation, but not the right kind of preparation. I'll give you a very specific example that I've seen with either interviewing sales development reps or prepping other SDRs for roles that they're interviewing for. One of the things that most candidates that are worth their salt do today is go on the company's website and they'll pick jargon on what the company does. And when you ask them, hey, do you know what the company does? Or if they get asked a question in the interview, how much do you know about our company? They'll immediately jump into the reciting the one or two liner that they've read on the website. And it sounds incredibly monotone. It doesn't sound the way a human being speaks. And they actually haven't peeled the onion a level deeper to ask themselves a few more basic questions. Why does this company exist today? Why is there a need for that particular product or service? Who is the buyer of their product or service? What is the reason why someone would pick them over others? And where do I see this particular industry going, or this particular product or service within the industry going 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, right? I think finding answers to those questions and being able to, in plain English, describe what the company does will not only impress anyone that you're interviewing, it'll make you 1,000 times more confident walking into the room because you prepped the right way.
Yeah.
Saying that you know what the company does by reciting the two-liner that they have on their website is very different from being able to explain in plain English why they exist and why you think they'll continue to exist 3, 4 years from now. And it's not easy. It's hard. You may have to ask some people, if you don't have subject matter expertise, you may have to talk to some of their SDRs, talk to some of their AEs. But I think that's something you have to do, man, because I feel bad. You've done some work, but you haven't given yourself the best opportunity because you haven't done enough work. And no one teaches you this.
It's a difference between memorizing the answers for a test and actually comprehending the subject matter, right? It's the same concept. You're just going through the motions, and that, frankly, you could probably get away with it on a test, but you can't get away with it when you're interviewing face to face or over Zoom with a hiring manager. They're screening hundreds of other applicants just like you.
Yeah.
So you really have to come up with that reason. That's a good one. What else do you hear?
And I mean, to kind of wrap up on that topic, anyone listening to this, I guarantee you, if you do this level of work and this level of research into the company, you will walk into that interview so much more confident than everyone else that has not. So worth the time, worth the effort. So that's one. The second thing, again, not specific to sales development reps, but certainly applies to them, is oftentimes they treat every interview the same. They lose context when it comes to who's interviewing them. Today, it's not very uncommon to have an interview with HR followed by an interview with the SDR manager, and maybe there's a VP of sales. Maybe there's someone more senior, depending on the size of the company. You might speak to the founder. The types of discussions that you will and should have with these people shouldn't all be the same, right? So if you're on the last stage of an interview and you're speaking with the CEO, try to keep the conversation towards how excited you are about the company, why you think their product or service will succeed, and how you plan on selling it. Keep that as a focus. But when it comes time to asking them questions, piquing their interest, you may have 20, 30 minutes with them. You don't want to ask questions about sales process necessarily. You might not want to ask questions about something super tactical, right? Because a better person to answer that question would be your SDR manager or your VP of sales. You might want to ask them questions about where they think the product is going to go. Why do they think their best customer likes them? Customers that have not enjoyed an experience with them, why is it that they have not liked it? Do you plan on adding additional features? Do you plan on attacking a different vertical? Those are questions that I think would be a little more interesting, intriguing, relevant to your job, but also something that a founder might be interested or able to answer, right? And so I think context matters.
Yep.
Don't treat everything the same way, and keep it conversational. The best interviews are conversational. The worst interviews are Q&A, where you go in, they ask a question, you answer, and you wait, right? To the best of your abilities, try to control the pace and direction of the interview. Let them ask the questions that they need to ask, but don't go in thinking of it as a Q&A session. So those are the two pieces of kind of advice that I follow myself to this day when I have formal discussions with people, and I think they've served me well.
Those are great. It's a good note to wrap on. We've learned a lot about some of the mistakes that folks make and how to resolve them before you get into the interview room. So we'll leave it there. We'll probably continue on this topic in a coming episode as well. There's a lot to unpack, and we talk about interviewing all the time, so I'm sure we'll touch on it again. But thanks, Manoj. This has been a great discussion, and we will see everybody tomorrow with another Ramp Careers Daily Update. Thanks, everybody.
Sounds good, Danny.
See ya.